Welcome to the Second Season Podcast, a podcast for athletes, entrepreneurs, and families chasing legacy. I'm Mason.
And I'm Danny.
And today we have another awesome guest, Coach Kyle Clough, amazing coach, husband, father. Pumped to have you on,
man. Yeah, man. Really excited to have you on.
Yeah, thanks, guys. It's a pleasure to be here, man.
Yeah, awesome. You bet. And what's really special about this, Kyle, is that this platform has been designed for people in their second season of life after sports. In our case, it was basketball, right? Your case, basketball, baseball. But what's cool about your second season is it's brought you back to the sport.
Back to the sport, man.
Back to sports.
Into leadership, and it's just so cool, man. I admire your leadership. Have gotten to know your players throughout the years, and I know that they admire it as well. So we really appreciate your time because I know it's gonna be super valuable, bro.
Yeah, I'm excited, man. You guys do some amazing work, so it's just an honor to be a part of it.
Let's go. Let's go. Yeah. So we got some good questions that I'm gonna ask, Danny's gonna ask, and we're gonna dive into some stuff here today. So first question is, Kyle, what skills from when you played sports? It was basketball and baseball, right?
And football.
Football.
Yeah, all three, man.
Three athletes, small school dog, right? So when you played all your sports, what transitioned the most from that season into, your leadership role?
Yeah, I think when you look back, it's been a long time now since I was a player, but two things. One, I think every one of us that played high school sports, we all drew a lot from the leadership of our coaches, right?
Amen.
And I was super blessed. My dad was one of my football and baseball coaches, nice. and obviously, a son and a father relationship there can teach you a lot.
For
sure. You have those extra conversations. I know you coaching your son, I'm coaching my son, and what a unique, awesome experience that was. And then my basketball coach, still to this day, he's actually now the superintendent of Corona Public Schools back where I grew up, and is just still one of the greatest leaders I've ever been around.
That's
and
incredible.
So, one of the things when I look back, I was thinking on the way over here today about a conversation I had with him. I was a 4-year varsity basketball player, and my senior year, I remember in the summer, he had a conversation with me, and he said, Kyle, here's what we need, man. We don't need you to score a lot this year. I remember being like, who's this guy talking to?
Yeah, especially when you're a high school kid, you're trying to get...
I'm the 4-year varsity player. It's my time to let it go.
This is the year I'm letting it fly.
Yeah. And, I remember thinking that at first, and then he was like, listen, I need you to be the best defender in the whole state, and I need you to lead this state in assists. We got guys around you. We had a 6'6" kid that went to Western. We had the player of the year in our area. And he's like, that's what I need from you. And looking back on that was hard. That was hard. And I'm still confident he flubbed my assist numbers just to make it all come to fruition. But taking away as a player, a couple of things. One, from that, roles are really critical, and not everybody's going to have the same role. And I think early on, as young players, we always think we're going to be the guy that's going to score the most, take the most shots. Yeah. In a business, I think I'm going to be the boss and the top guy, and it's like everybody's role is really critical. Yep. And so looking back on that, as a coach today, how he finessed that conversation to me was critical. He empowered me to be great at those things, even if it was kind of a limitation. And and as a coach today, I still draw upon that one conversation about how can I get these guys to really star in their role and watch it all come together. And I think that's the masterpiece of a business, of a basketball program. It's like everybody's got to star in their role,
100%.
And for me, I've really taken that as a player in the way that I embrace that in the tough days with it too. There were days where I'd see my best friend in the front page of the newspaper and be like, God, man, I was the one that got him that ball.
Yeah.
It's like you think of offensive linemen in football and
100%.
So that's always been a big thing for me. I mean, I think that was 24 years ago, and I haven't forgotten that one conversation.
That's amazing.
So powerful.
Yeah.
So it's like that whole mindset shift of just being open to what your responsibility should be. I mean, that probably has impacted you in so many different aspects.
Amazing, and I think, I grew up obviously a big Sparty, still a diehard Sparty, and always kind of hated Duke, but I admired Coach K. Always used to have those conversations too, about, and just how do you star in that role? It's not a limitation. Jay Billis said that, I think. It's not a limitation, man, to be great at this, to be the best defender, to be the best rebounder, And so I think as a player, that's the greatest challenge today, especially in the world today, man. I mean, these guys are programmed to be like, if I don't have my mixtape of me scoring.
We can even talk about NIL stuff, like that literally just came out this morning. Not that we have to jump into it, but it's
Yeah.
just like that has changed the game.
The game has changed,
so
yeah.
many ways, from
Unbelievable.
high school to kids in second grade. It's way more competitive, ever, like more than it ever has
100%,
been.
dude.
Unbelievable.
So it's a business now, more so than ever has been.
Well,
Big time.
Kyle, you just said something super powerful, and shout out to your coach to having it's almost like an art, the proper communication skills to be able to have that conversation with you
Yeah.
then, because you know more than us, but like talking to the 16, 17-year-old
Yeah.
kid,
So
you
impressive.
only know what you know
Man,
at 16, 17.
seriously.
And you think you know it all
Yeah.
because you've found success, whatever that is, right? But like yeah, and it goes back to like your parents pouring into you, because there's humility built in those moments too, right? Like being raised by, a good family. We've talked about a lot on this, where, grew up modest, but my mom and dad would be the first to drop everything and drive us to Indiana to play in a basketball game.
Yeah.
Like they gave us everything. So in those moments, it helps you in your decision making and your perspective you have, because you're small town, I'm Lansing, right? But it's like you just want to make your parents proud.
No doubt, man.
You're like, man, everything they poured into me,
Yeah.
like, all right, coach, I got you. I'll go be the best assist dude
Yeah.
in the state, right? And you guys had success, right?
Yeah, we had a great team. I mean, I think that was the thing. Looking back on it, it was the right move. It was the right move. I mean, I
That's
felt like I was a pretty good
incredible.
high school basketball player for a Class B school and
Yeah.
4-year player, and he made the right move. I mean, and I think that's the power in it, right? Is like, there's ways to message that would have been like, hey, you're not going to shoot, or
Yeah.
we don't want you to take that shot, and that can be kind of negatively weighing
sure.
down on a player.
For
But
sure.
I think that that's such a great skill, is just to be able to empower people, whether their role is somewhat limited compared to another person, and then the way he valued it throughout the year was really big too. I think that's something I try to do as a coach, is like, we got guys that do some dirty work, that
Grinders, man.
grinders,
Scrappers.
and,
bro.
You
and
need those dudes on your team.
Oh,
like
they're everything.
the glue, man.
They're
Like,
everything. They're everything. But yeah, so as a player, there was a lot of things to that I still draw upon for sure from that experience, and had some great teammates. And the other thing I think that we really talk a lot about in our program now is like kind of in the same theme, but so much of the game is played without the ball in your hands. And it's like you go watch a kid on social media or whatever, and it's like every highlight, everything they do, the ball's in their hands, and that's great. But
Yeah.
this game has so much going
Yeah.
on, and it's like that in anything. It doesn't have to be basketball. It's like there's so much going on behind the scenes and you got to be really good at that stuff.
the biggest change for me, at least going from hooping in high school to going to college, is there's way less wasted movement.
Yeah.
Like
There is none.
there's
Yeah.
no wasted movement. Like you have to be so efficient in everything you do when you're off the ball.
Well, transition to the
Super
NBA
important.
right now it went from 10 years ago where, and again, all due respect to James Harden at that time, like the dude was crazy talented, but look at the game right now and look at like the Pacers, right? There's dudes in the league who they don't dribble at all. It's like they shot 9 threes with 0 dribbles
Yeah.
and no passes.
Yeah.
They're sprinting the entire time. It's
Yeah.
a straight slash to the hoop.
Yeah.
This whole like crossover, step back behind the back, like that is fizzled away.
Yeah.
And that is because these kids that are coming up, like at an elite level, they know, like what you said, is the role. And being really good at a role can take you a long way. When you were talking, it reminded me of listening to the TJ McConnell from the Pacers interview.
That guy's
Where
awesome.
his role is you pick up full court, bro.
Yeah.
You are the dog
Yeah.
to guard
Yeah.
them. And he's in the league
Yeah.
because of it.
Yeah, and it takes a special guy to do that. I mean, I think
Yes.
that's the other piece of it, right? Is like you got to find the right person that's willing to do that. And
Yes.
not everybody can fit into that exact place, but I think that you look back at the run that the Warriors were on and the way that they started to play, and obviously Steph's a generational talent, but the way that they played and the ball movement, and that's kind of what everybody's really followed in suit here. Is you're seeing a lot of that nowadays in both the NBA and college.
Yeah.
100%.
Do you think like getting your message across to players on the basketball court, like you deal with a lot of personalities being a teacher, and you have to deal with a lot of different people.
Yeah.
How do you approach like getting your message across to certain people based on personalities? Like, is that
everybody-
super important? Like,
yeah, everybody's different.
100%,
I mean,
yeah.
we've got some dudes on our team that I could sit down and have a very real conversation
Mm-hmm.
in total transparency and honesty. and knowing that you're going to get them from point A to point B with that conversation.
Sure.
And then you got some other guys that like probably like my coach thought about me. Like it's got to be massaged a little bit, right?
100%,
You got to paint this picture here and see the end game, because that's one of the things I think with young kids that I've learned in 15 years now as a varsity coach is like our job is to see things way before they do,
Yeah.
And sometimes that's really good, and sometimes that's like maybe not as easy of a message, but they don't ever see it long term. That's just kids, and you just learn to deal with that a little bit. But messaging is everything, and being also really transparent with your team sometimes about what that player needs to do. And an example would be like if you got a guy that's not getting the 20 shots a game, the Jake Bascoms of the world for us, who's going to touch the ball 30 times, calling out some of the great things they do on film and seeing some of those things and valuing those little pieces along the way. That's to me what keeps a locker room really strong and keeps guys invested in that.
Dude, I remember in college we used to have film sessions after the game, and you'd be like kind of dreading it because you just knew like you miss a box out or whatever.
Yeah.
And our coach always made an emphasis on talking about someone who was on the bench.
Yeah.
Who had energy on the bench. Like always talked about it, and I think that I don't know, just for the morale as a team, like it was
so
super important looking back.
Powerful.
Yeah.
Well,
it
I
was
think
huge.
of, like he obviously coach. You coach at an extremely high level, extremely talented kids. We're gonna get into a little bit of that, but like we even break that down to the third and second grade teams we're coaching, and like emphasizing of when you see your teammate get that loose ball. Like the loose ball get for these second and third graders, that's as good as a bucket.
Yeah. Oh,
yeah,
So it's
for
like
sure.
instilling them like that bench, you better go crazy.
Yeah.
Because now these boys can feel like they're getting buckets by getting loose balls, getting rebounds, the assist, hard defense, and like but that's the culture and community that you're building.
Yeah.
And it's infectious, bro.
Yeah.
And DK, I know you and I both have a ton of questions for Coach today, but I just want to comment that it's a common theme amongst the leaders that you and I get to know through this platform that they either had an amazing father in their life, a good coach, or a good teacher.
Role model.
And maybe they didn't have all three. Maybe they weren't as lucky as us, right?
Yeah.
And that's the real life for a lot of people.
Yeah.
But those role models, bro, they stick with you forever. Forever. Like I told the story about seeing my psychology teacher randomly at a community ed game. Haven't seen him in 15 years. He's like tearing up like, bro, I don't have Facebook. Like, I don't know what's happened in your life. Like, I believed in you.
Yeah.
And like, bro, he's my psychology teacher.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, it's
Dude,
just crazy.
Last night, so crazy small world. My honors English teacher in 9th grade, my freshman year at high school, she was, so Keegan Akins is her nephew.
What?
But so she saw my post. She saw my post on social media, and she's like, "No way! Like Keegan's my nephew." And she like messages me on Facebook and stuff all the time. But you just like never know. You just never know who you're gonna run into.
That's really cool.
So yeah, it was crazy.
All right, I got a good one. We're gonna keep on this trend of leadership and hoops. There's nothing more I like than talking hoops. Leadership. So
You hooping today? You hooping today?
probably. So listen. All right, coach. So what non-negotiables, regardless of talent, and for everybody listening, this is not the coach saying this. He has one of the most talented groups of kids who has come through a public school in a very long time. So what non-negotiables, regardless of talent, do you have for a player to be a part of your program?
That's an awesome question. We have a lot of them, right? We have a lot of things that, and I look back 10 years ago when I first got here, what a challenge that was to start establishing some of those.
Oh, I bet.
And I think it's probably the same in the business world when you start and you've got this vision of like what things are going to look like. And, looking back, I remember some of these non-negotiables that I've always believed in and probably were instilled in me as a player, right, we just like had to constantly keep asking for them, and not being mad, and, consequences here, consequences there. And I was thinking about it on the drive over today, and all these things and I'll share a couple with you. Like now, like our players demand all of them.
That's so good.
I mean, I had this moment in practice yesterday where we were doing a very competitive drill, and a lot of the times as a coach, you have to step in there and you have to just get the competitiveness even fired up. And we had some of our leaders, Dylan Gross and Jake Bascom, 3-year guys. I mean, as I was getting ready to say something, it starts coming out of their mouth. Like, hey, that's not okay. You got to do this. You got to do this. That's not good enough. And I remember kind of smiling in practice and telling my assistant, like, man, that's
cool to see.
what coaching is all about right there. And as a young coach, you don't know that. But for us, we talk a lot about just a lot of the characteristics that they're going to need in their life, right? Like, punctuality is critical for us. Like, you're not showing up late for our practice. And if you are, then guys we're all going to run for it. We're all going to take accountability for it. Being there with your gear, with your practice jersey tucked in, and the small things. And our philosophy on a lot of these things is like, if you can do those little things and you can find value in them, you can find value in anything, and you can be great. And so we really test our guys with that, right? And you mentioned loose balls. Like, we got one of our program values is like, when a guy on our team gets on the floor in a practice or a game, like, every single dude is running there. And
I've seen it. I've seen it. 100%.
We want people in the stands. We want people watching. They know, like, these guys are in this together, right? This is not a one person thing. And speaking of our kids, like, I'm starting to try to get our third graders to do that, and it reminded me of being 10 years ago. The first couple times, like, hey, we all got to run to the ball. I'm like, what is he talking about? And now in that last tournament, man, a guy got on the floor, and like, our kids were trying to run off the bench to get to him. So yeah,
That's awesome.
those little things, we find a lot of those, right? And we have a lot of things, like, nowadays we have technology where we can watch film through their apps and on their phone, and so we'll, like, monitor that and check that. Like, dude, you need to be put in this.
You guys are watching film in high school?
Everything,
it's so
man.
good.
Dude, I never watched film in
Yeah,
high school.
Yeah, so
ever.
Our guys are in tune with it, and like I said, one of the cool things, and this, I know we'll talk a little bit more about this, but what I thought coaching was all about when I started is totally different than what I think it is about now. And seeing the value in guys appreciating those and taking those little things you're talking about and running with them and holding other guys accountable for them and watching, our JV guys get held accountable by our varsity guys. That's what it's all about, and that's, to me, the great value in a great program is, like, when that starts happening. When that starts happening, it's beautiful.
I think you hit it right on the head. Like, in order to do big things in this world, like, you have to master the small things first. Tucking in your jersey, showing up on time, doing the things that are important if you want to accomplish big things.
Well, dude, when you say program too, Clough, it's like the word program to me, as you explain what you just did, that really, it's like life, business, family structure, basketball, whatever the sports team that you're on, like that camaraderie, like, it comes back, it's like the famous Kobe Bryant speech where, like, the dream is the journey.
Man.
You get to the end of it, like, for instance, the Eagles players, when they won the Super Bowl, they're getting interviewed. They're like, how is it? They're like, it's not as good as I thought. I'm ready to get back to training.
No kidding, man.
Yeah.
But, like, that joy in the training, and when your players or your employees or your kids take ownership in it, you as a leader, you could be like, man, I guess I'm doing something right.
Yeah. No question.
And I think the biggest thing too for some of these kids, which I guess I was too naive to even realize it in high school, is like, they don't understand yet how impactful, like, having, like, specific morals or things that you focus on in your day-to-day for practice or in school, like, that will affect them tenfold down the road that they don't even get yet.
I always say that about our kids. I'm like, every single kid that I've ever coached eventually gets it.
Yep.
They do. Now, just the great ones and the really good teams, they start to get it while they're still there with you. The other ones are going to get it. They're going to figure it out. And they're going to know that you had love and the discipline you're trying to instill. They know it's coming. They'll figure that out.
That's like when you're a kid and your dad like tells you to do something and you're like, no, I'm not doing it. And like 5 years down the road, you're like, damn, he was right. It's like that.
Yeah, you were just trying to prepare me, man. My dad would try to teach me a little about fixing a car, and I'm like, you know how many times now I've been like,
me too.
Yeah.
My dad says I failed you because I didn't push you hard enough on this stuff. I said, no, you didn't. I wasn't paying attention anyway. I was just trying to play sports.
Exactly.
Man, that's so good.
That's super good.
That is so good, man.
All right, I got another question here for you.
All right.
What's something that you're personally working on right now within your own life?
Yeah, I think that what's really important if you're going to keep doing this for a long time, and it's funny, I was talking to Ryan DeKuyper the other day, who's a Rockford legend here, right? And he's like, you're the second longest tenured varsity basketball coach in Rockford. And that really hit home. I'm like, man, I'm getting old. That's crazy, 10 years, And I think that's really important. Every year, both in the season and at the end of the season, I try to reflect and try to think, what can we do better? You know, because my mindset is like, if we're not getting better, if we're not doing things better, doing things even differently sometimes, you know, then we're just getting worse. Somebody's catching us, right? Somebody's gaining on us. And so the big thing for me, I think, as I've gotten older, and a lot of this has to do with having kids, you know, and having to chase those guys all over the place and wanting to be a really important, you know, figure there, is like learning to trust the people that work around me a little bit more. You know, and not that I never trusted guys early, but like,
so good.
You know, as a leader, in any fashion in life, you especially when you're starting, like, you have a vision, man. You have a vision how you want to do things, and you have to be convicted in that if you're going to be successful, right? And there's a million ways to do it, but you have to have your own conviction. And but as you go along, like, you got to have people around you that you trust, that can carry out that vision and are going to do it at the same level you want to do it. And so I'm trying to get better at that. I mean, we have had great assistant coaches that I've had here. I'm trying to empower them more. And simple things like we talk about scouting. And when I first started, like, I didn't let anybody touch that. I'm like, this is my plan. This is my film breakdown. This is what we're going to do. This is how we're going to do it. And I'm going to have to take it all, because I was really nervous, right? Nervous about letting the program down, and felt like if it's a failure, then it's going to be on me. And I think I'm trying to get better at that. I mean, I think this year especially, we've empowered our assistants a little bit more, and I've been able to kind of look a little deeper at our team, right? Scouting such a big piece of this, and I think at the end of the year last year we had a great conversation as a staff, and it was like, hey man, you got to be more dialed into the day-to-day improvements of our own group, because we've been to the regional a couple of times and we haven't gotten over that hump, right? And we're trying to get to that next level, and so finding those little inches. But trust is so much of that, and then trusting our players. I mean, empowering our captains more is something that I'm trying to do a better job of too. You know, my first few years, it would be like, okay, this kid's going to be our captain, he's our leader, and then I just didn't let him lead. You know, I didn't give him that power. And I'll share a story from yesterday in practice. You know, we're in there and guys are chomping at the bit to play, as we talked about. And, you know, Jake Bascom, 3-year starter for us.
Incredible kid.
Yeah, one of the greatest players in Rockford history. He's going to potentially be a Mr. Basketball candidate. You know, he's a captain for us, and Jake would tell you this if he was sitting here, he's needed to get better in his leadership, right? He's a leader by example. I mean, that dude comes in, he's a thoroughbred on the floor, in the weight room, and always doing what he's supposed to. But we've tried to challenge him time and time again about, like, man, we need your voice. Like, your voice. You know, we lost East Lansing and Kentwood back-to-back, and we had a meeting with our captains. Like, your voices are going to be the ones right now in the darkest moment that are going to be where we go. You know?
100%.
And so he's kind of always really, he's making effort. But yesterday in practice, man, we're in this drill, and he comes out of nowhere. Their team's just getting stomped in this drill, and he just goes, let's go. I mean, just steps into that moment. And I was like, whoa, man.
Needed some of that fire.
Yeah, and probably a lot of it had to do with I shut my mouth for a little bit, Like, I'm always the one barking and being the guy. And, like, so there was some silence in this room, and trusting other guys to take that moment. So that's the big thing for me. I think every great leader has trust issues in some way.
100%. You care. You just care. You care so much, man.
So just trying to get better at that, and then knowing that on a Sunday when we're coaching in Traverse City with our little guys, man, that my assistants can do a great job. And so that's something I'm trying to grow at for sure.
It's so good, because
it's amazing.
Exactly what he says is what we talk about when we're developing businesses.
It's the same thing.
It's literally the same thing. And on my side, where I'll have a super talented loan officer that I hire at the bank, right? But they're only so good by yourself.
Yeah.
You have to have the structure. And if you are the one that's the only one watching film or the only one doing everything, you can never have the 30,000-foot view of yourself.
And
you never can be the outside. You can never see your team from a different lens, because you're so in the fitness of the task.
Yeah.
It doesn't allow you to give you the perspective. When I started hiring for the Mauer Home Lending team, this was before I was vice president of the bank, but, like, it changed my life, and you know that too.
Yeah, 100%.
Finding somebody that I could trust, and then duplicated to somebody else. And now there's this. It's like I call it the foundation of the house. The foundation of the house is laid, and it makes you less anxious.
Yeah.
Because let's be real, we care about what we do, and if you don't have that support, you're anxious.
Yeah.
Because you want it to go right.
Yeah, and even to add on top of that, like, when you build the structure as, like, the top guy or whatever, and you build a structure and you allow that other person to really own their role, like, they can run with it and they can build it and they can own that. Like, they have the ownership in it. That's where you really see it take off.
I think it's so hard, though. Like, I think one of my mentors here in town, he's got to be the wealthiest dude in Rockford, right? I mean, and he basically told me, he's like, bro, I have the best staff I've ever had, my goal for 2026 is I am not making one business decision.
Wow.
I am just empowering everybody, and these women and my leaders make every decision. Because if I empower them, they're in the mind space to lead themselves and make the decisions.
100%.
Now, that's the ultimate trust. Maybe we'll get there one day, right?
That's the end game.
But I'm
Work in
like,
progress.
bro, like that sounds great. I don't know if I'll be there, but
I'll be the water boy.
it all ties. It all ties.
Yeah,
in.
it does.
So, okay, I'm gonna stay on a basketball question.
Yeah.
We've talked about this a lot. I've spoke to college teams, high school teams, and I talk about the dark side of the beast and how those moments growing up in Lansing playing ball and like that moment of snapping and not snapping out of control, but snapping into the dark side of the beast where it's like my dad's in the stands like, get mad, right? Like play bad, bro.
Play with some passion.
So like for you, coach, like that edge or playing mad, can you relate to that? Do you think it's healthy? And like, how do you get that? Because like, again, hopefully Jake, you're watching this because I love you, bro. But like the craziest hardworking thoroughbred ever, right?
Yeah.
But like the dark side of the beast,
Yeah.
he's just finding that like edge, like,
Yeah.
you know what I'm saying? So like, do you think it's healthy? How do you get your players to channel that, bro?
Yeah, I mean, I think that's part of the art in coaching too, is like teaching them, you know, mad is maybe an extreme because I think that the part of the line you can't cross is where it starts becoming disruptive to your own composure,
Yes.
right? And we have a lot of conversations with our guys, especially in the last couple of years. I mean, I think we've been, and rightfully so, because our kids are so talented, in conversations of like, man, they're one of the best teams, right? And I think that handling that is unique. And so what we talk to our guys all the time about is playing with a desperation, you know. And, you know, I think back just a couple weeks ago, right, we lose to East Lansing, a one-play game. We lose to Kentwood, a one-play game. And this team is not accustomed to losing. I mean, Jake and Dylan have lost like 7 games in 3 years, you know. And so we had a great team meeting, and that's the thing we talked about going over to Hudsonville was like, we just got to play desperate. And that's not like you got to change things, but it's like we got to get uncomfortable here for a moment, and we got to recognize that we've got an extra inch or two we got to find, right? And so with this team, that was our greatest fear going into the season as a staff is like, how are we going to keep them uncomfortable? Because comfort is a terrible thing for all of us, right? As coaches, as dads, as business owners, like as soon as I get comfortable, you know, like you talked about, and then all of a sudden things start creeping in and then you get anxious. And so for our guys, it's like mad. I mean, I think they all have to have their own why. You know, they got to have this like Jake wants to be Mr. Basketball or wants to be a contributor at the MAC at Division I, like whatever it is. That's got to motivate you to want to work hard on a daily basis. And the great thing about Rockford, and this probably, you know, same conversation to your guy you're just talking about, is like guys don't make it to the varsity level here unless they're extremely motivated. I mean, that's a blessing that I don't have to really push that hard. Like our guys, they know if you're not into this thing, man, you're not going to be there, right?
Yeah.
And so at that point, it's just like our job as coaches is to keep them uncomfortable. And for us, it's been a little bit of a blessing this year because we had some injuries and we had some different things. We were uncomfortable. That's why I told our coaches, I'm like, we're 9-0 and I'm terribly uncomfortable right now. And that's probably a good thing, you know? And I think that's where experience sets in a little bit too, because like in the early years, I would have been overly anxious and frustrated. We're not doing this. But I think, like having that desperation to you and just being in that mindset, man, where it's like, we just have to like, and what that does is, right, is it helps you find those one plays, those one loose balls, those one rebounds. Like you're just prepared for that. And I think that's what we've strived for and making sure that our guys recognize that those are the moments, right? When we look at the East Lansing game, and we were one stop, right? One stop, and we just didn't get it. We just didn't make that play. In Kentwood, we got 2 or 3 chances to win that game. We just don't make that play, and that's part of sports, right? That's part of it, but instilling in them that like you're going to be back in that moment. That moment's coming again, and we got to be ready for it. Maybe it's next week, maybe it's tonight, maybe it's the regional final, but it's going to come down to 1 or 2. And you got to be desperate for that moment, and you got to be ready for it.
Let's get them out of get it out of your system now.
Yeah,
That's so good, bro. That is so good because when you get comfortable, like in business or like let's take it back to basketball, you're comfortable, and that's where like the 2-3 bad plays happen in a row.
Yeah,
It's
no
like
question.
it's quicksand.
Yeah.
And next thing you know, and like, dude, I break this down to our 7-year-olds on the sideline in Traverse City last weekend. They're watching the championship game of the teams. The team that we lost to by 2 who's winning it, and they're looking at me like, man, we were so close.
Yeah.
Well, then we get into the game and we got comfortable. There's 2-3 times where we're not getting on the floor, we're not playing defense, and we called a timeout. Briggs called a timeout. We bring it over. I say, guys, 5 minutes ago, you guys were just telling me we were so close.
Yeah.
This is the difference of being so close and finishing it. These 2-3 plays that happen, it's natural. As they learn the game.
100%.
This is good for 17-year-olds, NBA teams, like that quicksand happens, but that's the difference sometimes, bro. And your example, like the last 2 games.
Yeah, it doesn't matter if you win by 50 or if it doesn't matter if you lose by 1 or lose by 50, it's still an L.
Yeah. My favorite saying in our program, and we share this with our guys all the time, is you're never as good as you think you are. You're never as bad as you think you are. You're never far away from either one. Yes. And be uncomfortable about that, and know that the great blessing that we have in Rockford is that every single year, especially in the last few years, like we're going to be a few plays away from the Breslin Center. Yeah. We're going to be right there. I mean, it's just you just can bank on that. Yeah. But you're also a few plays away from losing on the first round of the district. 100%. And so it's like that and everywhere. Somebody's always close to you, and so staying uncomfortable with that and just continuing to find that inch is something that we spend a lot of time talking to our guys about.
I want to talk about this a little bit more. I know you got one more question.
No, you're good.
And this is so good because I was thinking about this the other day where a lot of times, and don't get me wrong, we talked about this with Keegan too. I am for kids playing numerous sports. Like I'm
Me too,
for that, right?
100%.
I'm not saying that. But what I also understand and what I'm also for is the day that basketball season ends. If you really love basketball and you want to be a dude, like you getting comfortable in the off season is your biggest enemy.
No doubt.
Because just because you're older doesn't mean you're going to be better. Like staying in that uncomfortable realm the entire off season, it's less of a shock to you when you get back to the season. Like, I got to get back to used to hooping.
Yeah.
I got to get back to used to running the ball, whatever that may be. Like, no, bro. Like you need to. That just needs to be your training that you fall back to.
Yeah.
That's the norm. Made me so proud of Kane the other day. Like, yes, we played numerous sports, soccer, golf. He's played football. He wants to play baseball. But after the Traverse City tournament, he's like, Dad, I want to play 100 games before I come back here next year.
That's awesome.
And I'm like, bro, I didn't tell him to say that to you.
Yeah.
Like, I didn't want to. I'm like, let's go. But like, it just made me so, because I remember that's when my life really turned up, is basketball season, in the basketball realm, was basketball season was ended, but then that means we're playing at the park every day against older kids. I'm
100%.
getting beat, bro.
Yeah.
I'm getting beat to a pulp by dudes in Z's grade, 2-3 years older than me in Lansing, dunking on me. But then I go back to play against 13, 14-year-olds.
Right.
And they still no chance.
Yeah.
Like staying uncomfortable, bro, can make you
So important.
just.
And it's such a skill sport, right?
yes.
So like there's so much value in other sports because you build that competitiveness and you find that fire and you getting coached by other people and there's so much help there. But basketball is one of those sports that while you're doing that, you still have to find time. You can't spend the first, especially in a place like this, man. You can't spend the first 3 weeks not making a shot.
I told
season form.
For sure, bro.
I told Mace this, but I played a lot of tennis growing up, and like as a big, like I was a 4, like playing tennis helped my footwork. In like middle school and early high school, so much.
I bet, for sure.
Like especially on the defensive side, like being able to move.
Well, let's talk about golf for a second. I just got into golf, just joined Y, excited to see you. But like, I've only golfed for 6 months of my entire life. But what I have found mentally during this last 6 months, I want to give to my kids now. I literally joined Y because I said, my sons will understand what it means that it is you v you, and nobody's coming to save you.
No one's coming to save
If
you.
you want to golf, like it's a different sport than basketball, it's a different sport than football, but like if you're gonna golf, which you're gonna, because you're gonna learn this and it's something you could do forever. If you're gonna golf, like it's gonna teach you some mental stuff, bro. And that is where like the diversity of sports, to your point, football for toughness, tennis for footwork, golf for mental, like they all coincide. But these skill sports, you gotta stay on.
Doesn't matter how athletic you are, how high you can jump, how fast you can run. It's mental and it's so technical.
Yes. And that's why when you get older in life, you're actually better at sports. You're just not as physically gifted.
We understand so much more now.
Yeah, dude. So much more.
No doubt.
That's awesome. All right. What's a belief you had 5 to 10 years ago that you've changed your mind on? I know that's kind of a
No,
big question, but
when I first started coaching, and like every young coach, so much of what I wanted was for myself. And I can say that comfortably now, and I don't think that's a criticism of the early Coach Clough, but wanting to win games or wanting to win a district championship or a conference championship, like I didn't ever know this at the time, nor would I have ever said it, but it was a lot about like I wanted to feel that. I wanted to feel the satisfaction of my hard work, and I've changed that for two reasons. One, when you get older, we get wiser. We understand there's a bigger picture here. I am such a better coach now since I become a dad too, man. Like, because it's not about me, and it's you start to see the value in all the other stuff there, and so like since I've become a dad, I've become a much better coach. I've seen the way that I coach my own son and have challenged him times and had to pull back a little bit or had to push harder, and so learning that route and just learning that it's about so much more than anything that I need to feel, and I don't need to feel validated anymore. I think it was when you're a young coach or a young business guy, you're like, I'm going to prove that I can do this, right? And
This is so good.
and the second thing, I've got a little thing that sits next to my bedside table. My dad hand wrote a long time ago, and he's passed since now, but it says, and this goes back to what we were talking about earlier, greatness is not a destination. And at first I remember thinking, man, the only way that I'm ever going to be considered a great coach is if I win Regional Coach of the Year, or if we get to a regional final, or if we get to the Breslin Center. And if we don't get there, it's a failure, And the longer I've done this, the more I realize that that's just terribly untrue. It's about that journey, and it's about instilling the connection with your players and the confidence in your players and the daily habits of your players, so that when those hard moments in basketball come, and I think back to Muskegon last year, right? We're down 13 points in the third quarter. And that, to me, is like the great value I took away from that moment. The win, the championship, I mean, those things are forever, right? And I'd be lying to you if I said that didn't feel great.
For sure, yeah.
But for me, it was looking at our team in that huddle down 13 in the third, and then knowing that they had the resiliency and the habits to come back into that thing and find a way, And so that part of it, to me, has become the most fulfilling piece, is like, man, it's like, we got a team that's good enough to win it all this year, right? And if we don't win it all, it's not going to be a failure. It's just not, and in some eyes it may be for people, but for us, it's like we're just trying to build the most unbreakable thing we can have, so that when it comes tough, and we're going to have tough moments here down the stretch in the OK Red and the district, and if we can get to the regional, it's going to be just those moments like we've experienced so far. And so, like, to me, that's the part that's why I still do this, because like I love watching our kids, like, man, get to that moment right there. And you guys know this, it's like in life we're going to encounter those, and speaking of my dad, right, like he passed away at such an early age, and I was sharing this with our players the other day. It's like, you're never prepared for those moments. And like you have to be as strong as possible, because and build those consistencies. And in a situation like a father-son relationship, it's like you just got to build that love and that togetherness and enjoy the experience with your kid. And that's why I try to do it with my kids. And because someday it's gonna be a hard moment, right? Yeah. And basketball is simple when we think about it compared to those types of things. But that's probably the greatest thing for me, is like not feeling that extra pressure that like a championship is the only thing to validate all this work, and we all want it. Don't get me wrong. There's nobody who wants to be, see the Rockford Rams in East Lansing more than me. I can promise you that.
Yeah, 100%.
But yeah, for us, it's like teaching the kids that, like, it's just about being great on a consistent basis, and all the other great things will follow that.
It's amazing.
Coach, you like, I know you know this, but in like saying this to a really good competitor, which you are, like some competitors will take this and some won't, but you already just said it, and the fact that like, bro, it's already success. Like what we've talked about a lot on this platform is like the people who shaped us into young men. Bro, like you're shaping these dudes to be resilient, to be good fathers, to be good husbands, right? Like it's already a success. That doesn't mean we don't double down and go get what's ours.
100%, yeah.
But knowing that in the peace that it brings you of the journey, bro, like I just wanna salute you on that, bro, because you do a really good job at that.
I appreciate it.
Yeah, and being a former player too, like I still keep in touch with my college coaches.
Yeah.
Like I talked to my Western coach a couple weeks ago. Like we were talking about Coach Reck earlier. Like
Yeah.
shout out Coach Reck. Like gave me my first opportunity. Like I talked to Coach Reck last month.
Yeah.
Like I haven't hooped in Northwood since 2020, and we're 6 years down the road. And like I still remember all the lessons that he taught me as a young kid who's trying to find his way in the world.
Yeah.
So I hope that comes back around where players are going to reach back out to you. You're going to have these relationships forever. Because
Yeah, and I've done it long enough now where I've seen that, and I told
Yeah,
you
it's
guys
amazing,
this before,
man.
like
It's-
everybody figures this out.
Yeah.
Every kid you ever coach, man, at some point, and it's not all of them come back to you, not all of them talk to you about it, but
Yeah.
every kid, I'll get the best parts about my job is like I'll get a letter. I got a kid that I coached my second year in Corona who's out in Arizona, and he's doing unbelievable, and just get a letter from him, a couple years back saying, man, coach, like, all that stuff, I appreciate it so much more now. And it's like, again, that when you're a young coach, like you don't put any value in that stuff. I mean, you just coach them hard, and you're just trying to do the things that the coaches that coached us did. But for me now, that's what it becomes more about, is like preparing these guys. Like Jake Bascom, like next year it's going to be a very big challenging year up there, and we want him to be prepared for that. I want him to go into that situation feeling like there's nobody more prepared for whatever comes this way. We're going to be ready for it, and we'll handle it. And I think that to me is like the fun part. And like I said, a lot of that comes from being a dad now, right? Like as a dad, that's what we want our kids to do. We want our kids to know life is going to be really hard. There's going to be so many hard moments, and you have to be ready for those moments. And coaching, it's easy. Basketball, it's easy because it's like, okay, yeah, we're up 5 with a minute to go. Now we got to handle the full court pressure. Like that's easy, right?
Yeah.
Like, translating that to their life, that's the part that to me is the best part, and knowing that they can
100%.
handle those things,
It's so good.
That's amazing.
So good. Being a dad, like in the hard dad moments, like it makes you think of your dad
Yeah.
and what they gave
Yeah,
you. Bro.
yeah.
And like, on the family note of this platform, which we talk about a lot, I don't want to wrap today's episode before saying like, you have an incredible family, bro. Like we always talk about the power of a strong, significant other.
Man.
Every time I come to a game, your beautiful wife, your beautiful kids are right there. Your
Yeah.
son's seeing you lead a group of men in front of an entire community. I can go right up to him. He's 8 or 9, right? I can go right up to him like a man, give him a high five, look him in the face. But like, it's just really cool to see, bro.
Yeah.
And like that is something that I feel like anybody who's doing something at a very high level, they are favored. And it's not happenstance that they're succeeding. They're favored because that support system behind them, it makes them unstoppable.
No doubt. No doubt. We all feel that.
Yeah,
you
bro.
can't do it without people around you
Yeah.
that believe in you. And whether you're running a business or whether you're coaching a program, it takes time. It takes time. You give up a lot for it, and you need people around you that believe in you and trust you. That's a big key.
Amen.
100%.
Well, Coach, bro, this is an
amazing.
honor. This is amazing. We have so many gems that a lot of people are going to take from this. If you are watching this, tune into these Rockford Rams boys. I know we talked about how talented they are, but I can firsthand tell you that these are some amazing kids. Sometimes you see a group of talented kids, like we talk about this, where I grew up, where dudes should have been playing for MSU, but they couldn't get out of trouble, XYZ, right? Like, these kids are better kids than they are hoopers, and there's a reason for that, and it's because you're a leader, right? And this community has good fathers and good structure. Like these
100%.
kids are good kids. So if you're a hoop junkie like me, like DK, tap into these Rams. Coach has been a big reason the comeback of Michigan basketball, and like I don't say that lightly. You got some good leaders that have brought back the hype to Michigan basketball. I went to your game the other night. It's a packed house.
Yeah.
Like, bro, that's what it's about. So salute to you, bro. I'm so happy that you're on
Yes,
this. I
amazing.
hope y'all enjoyed this. If you guys like this, please tap in, subscribe. We're on all social platforms. Share this with a friend or a family.
Second season starts now.